How can you find a trustworthy builder? Earlier today, I spoke with John Carolyn, the founder of Skope Constructions. John is known for saving his clients money and time. I asked John to share the top priorities he sets in place for each project.
Well, I think one of the top priorities really on most projects, Ken, is saving money. And probably more recently, we had a project in Canton Beach, which was an affordable housing project for Pacific Link Housing. And during the planning phase, we were able to obtain and plan for over $100,000 worth of savings on that project.
Earlier this week, I spoke to Wal Edgell, the chairman of Pacific Link Housing, and asked him to clarify the $100,000 savings that John mentioned.
The $100,000 you talk about savings, that's the equivalent of half a unit in that development. And because we're a tier one community housing provider and we're a registered charity, I have to say money is always the bane of our existence, or the lack of money. So getting a competitive tender and also having a builder who's prepared to sit alongside us and work to minimise costs for anything that we might come across is a great benefit Skope brought to the table.
Calvary Aged Care has also benefited from cost savings thanks to Skope Constructions. I spoke with their project manager, David Arguellas.
Always good to put a bit of money back into contingency if you can. So a couple of those areas are two that sort of jump out to me. Was one in terms of the mechanical ventilation system, the air conditioning system, where they managed to provide a $50,000 saving. And the reason for that was the mechanical engineer had actually designed a system that included the replacement of all the ductwork within the ceiling spaces. So this was obviously going to be both a very costly exercise to do and also the time implications obviously associated with it. Because obviously you needed to pull the ceiling down, pull all the ductwork out, redo the ductwork, redo the ceilings. So there was a saving in the order of approximately $50,000 in just doing that. And not only obviously the cost side of things, obviously the time side of things as well. The other one was in relation to the toilet pans in the residence en suites, where they found an alternative toilet to what had actually been originally specified. So they actually got a sample of the toilet. We reviewed it. We provided that sample to Calvary. They reviewed it and accepted that it was going to be acceptable, and it was also obviously a compliant toilet, and that was another saving in the order of $30,000 for the project.
We all know that saving time on your building project is crucial. I asked John Carolyn to share a time-sensitive project that he had to deliver on schedule.
But the examples of a project we did that was really time-sensitive was for IDEX Laboratories. And they had a 6-week period where they had to have the fit out done. They had to move from one area, their existing one, into a new area. And they had something like 200 staff to move. And it was a 24-hour operation. IDEX is actually a veterinary pathology provider, and it runs around the clock. So that was a really time-sensitive project. And we had to have it done in the 6-week period to prevent damage really to the company's brand and their reputation.
I spoke with Tim White, the former managing director of IDEX Laboratories, and asked him for his thoughts on whether it was a good decision to choose Skope Constructions to complete his project on time.
The other thing that they gave us was that level of confidence and trust that they would deliver on time and on budget as well. And that really drove us to a point, and it was a collaborative decision across the business to go with Skope Construction. It was unanimous, in fact, and we were very, very happy that we chose them in the end.
Now, your business specialises in the aged care sector. I would imagine it must be very difficult doing renovations of aged care villages when you've got residents on site. How do you go about and how do you choose a builder? I mean, what are some of the keys to running a hassle-free project?
So it does come down to a lot of experience. And we've been working for people like Uniting, Baptist Care, and Calvary. And we did a project recently during that COVID period for Calvary up in Cessnock. And they had commented that it was a relatively hassle-free process. And that really came from our experience doing these projects for several years and understanding the needs of the residents and understanding the needs of the staff and really knowing that it is a sensitive environment where people can be injured or hurt in some way very easily if you don't know what you're doing.
Paul Crane is the asset manager for Calvary Healthcare, and Skope Constructions, having won a tender for one of their aged care villages in the Hunter Valley, I asked Paul to share his thoughts on working with Skope Constructions.
Yes, Ken, that's correct. Skope were successful in a tender process where they were appointed to complete works for us at our Cessnock facility. It's a large facility. It's an operating aged care home, and so there are difficulties in achieving outcomes in construction whilst preserving the amenity for our residents. So they did a very good job of that, and we were very pleased with the work that they did for us.
To complete this profile piece on John Carolyn and the team at Skope Constructions, I spoke to one of their residential clients who had spent over $1 million having his home renovated. I asked him how would he summarise his experience and would he recommend them?
Well, it was honesty and integrity, and John doesn't promise the world. He's actually the opposite. He's more straight, and he'll tell you where the issues will be in your construction, which help you identify areas of risk, and he'll manage those effectively. But he'll be honest and straight, and I think that's the key. He's not going to give you a proposal that's undercooked, so it's lower, and then come in and win the job and try and make money out of it during the process. He'll be straight and honest with you from day one. And from where we started with John to where we ended was exactly pretty much where he said, other than we made changes which were at our discretion during the build.
They say in business that you're only as good as what your customers say about you. Having interviewed multiple clients of John Carolyn and Skope Constructions, we now have the proof that if you choose a trustworthy builder, you are on track for a successful project. I'm Ken Robinson. Thank you for your time, and bye for now.